On a typical morning in our house, I get up around 6 a.m. I check my messages and shower, and then I start waking up the kids. I knock on the boys' door and poke my head in their room. Good morning, it's time to wake up. And then I cross the hall to my daughter's room. She typically wants a little bit more connection when she wakes up, and then she usually wants my help to pick out what she's going to wear. So we check the weather, we evaluate what clothing options she has. In other words, like what's clean. And then I head downstairs to the kitchen where I start the coffee, microwave a frozen egg casserole for Liam, and begin pulling other breakfast food out. While I'm doing that, I pull out Liam's lunchbox, cleaning out the leftover food from the day before and racking my brain to predict what he'll be willing to eat that day. And at some point in the morning, Nathan has also gotten up and he's getting himself ready to start his day teaching. The whole time I'm watching the clock to make sure we get to the bus stop on time. And as the time ticks closer to 7:13 when the bus is due to arrive and Nathan needs to leave to start his workday, my energy gets a little more frantic. Does everyone have socks and shoes on? Are your backpacks packed and ready for the day? Do you have your IDs, your water bottles? Is there food we need to prep for tonight's dinner? And sometimes, in the midst of all that chaos, Nathan might look at me and ask, "What do you need?" Now, depending on how I'm doing, I might respond in one of a few ways. If I'm not my best self, I might snap at him. I need the kids to get ready, obviously. If I'm in a good mental space, I might say, I could really use some help getting dinner prepped for tonight. Or if I wanted to be ambitious, I might respond that what I really need is a vacation. I need a book and a beach and a warm breeze. Other times, this question might prompt a sort of existential reflection. I need to know that what I'm doing matters. I need to know that I'm not actually the worst parent in the whole wide world. We're in week 3 of our series, I've been meaning to ask. We know that some of the best conversations start with good questions, and so we've built this series around 4 questions, and we're answering them together, exploring them in our worship services, and we're also going deeper with them in our small groups. Across all 3 of our campuses, we're encouraging small groups to use this discussion guide to go deeper. These questions invite us to tell our stories, share our pain, to care for one another, and to dream about a new way forward. And we started with the question, where are you from? And then we went on to, where does it hurt? And now we're talking about, what do you need? Next week, we'll discuss where we go from here. So, like I said, this morning, we're discussing the question, what do you need? And much of this content for this series and for this discussion guide that we're using in small groups, it was developed by Sanctified Art. And today we're leaning on the reflections of Reverend Remington Johnson, whose video you might watch in your small groups. As a chaplain, she might have any range of answers to that question at any given time. And although this question is especially relevant when we're going through a season of suffering and pain, it can be relevant to all of us, no matter what season we find ourselves in. When we're going through something difficult and a person asks us, what do you need? It hits different. The question hits us differently. Sometimes the need is within reach, a meal delivered or activities to keep the kids occupied. It's practical and attainable. Other times the need is unattainable. It's simply impossible. I need my loved one to be healed. I need my loved one who died many years ago to be here with me. I need to know that this person will be okay. I need answers. And as a chaplain, Reverend Johnson says, sometimes all I can do is witness the fact that you have this need. And I can hear it, I can hold it, and be another person who knows that you have that need. And yes, we all want to solve all the things, but sometimes we just can't do that. But it can't stop us from stepping in with intention and faith to lean in and to connect with one another and to ask, what do you need? It's holy and sometimes quite heavy to hold space for a person who has unmeetable needs. And it can be heavy and overwhelming to be a person who has unmeetable needs. When I think about someone asking me what I need, well, I already told you. My response is in large part, it depends on how I'm doing in that moment. Sometimes I might feel frustrated because it seems so obvious to me. Sometimes I might be relieved, like someone finally noticed that I'm struggling. If I'm in crisis and my needs are unmeetable, I might freeze, unsure of how to respond. And sometimes, depending on who's asking or what's going on, it might feel a little intrusive. I'm curious about you. Let's pause for a moment and discuss. When you imagine someone asking you what you need, what do you think or feel about that? How does it strike you? Take a minute and talk about it.